Hello loves, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be breaking down the lunar eclipse in Scorpio that's happening on May 16th. Okay, we're going to start as we always do with the planetary positions and the aspects, spell guides, tarot, oracle, all of the things. So yeah, but before we do not forget to subscribe if you're new here, and don't forget to check out the Patreon down below. So as always, planetary positions: the sun will be in Taurus, moon will be in Scorpio, Mercury will be in Gemini in retrograde, Venus will be in Aries, Mars will be in Pisces, Jupiter will be in Aries, Saturn will be in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus, Neptune in Pisces, Pluto in Capricorn in retrograde. Okay, so this lunar eclipse has a lot of stuff going on. I'm just gonna tell y'all from right now. The sun is gonna be in an opposition to the moon. So there's definitely some internal disagreements within our, our ego or willpower and our emotional energy. There is going to be a little bit of pushback within some of the decisions that we make. Keep in mind that eclipse energy is not necessarily the best time to be out here doing like spell work specifically necessarily. If it's within your practice to work with the eclipse, you do you, but eclipses generally throughout a good collective of, ancestral practices, it can be seen as bad omens because the energy is so intense. So it is meant to be seen as like a time to rest and just honor your spirits and honor your life and your body throughout this time. But for those who are going to be working with it, we will be diving into what you should be doing for the optional peoples. Okay, there will be a sun in conjunction to Mercury. This is definitely going to give a lot of breakthroughs within our minds, within our communication as well. Now, keep in mind that Mercury is in retrograde during this at this time, so there is a very like egotistical way in which we are reactive. We could be reacting from like some past experiences. We could be, some of our traumas might be shining through. Some of our, the lessons that we've learned might be shining through, or some of the lessons that we have not learned might be shining through our communication. So be very mindful, y'all, of your voice during this time. Generally great, but if Mercury was not in retrograde, I would say better. But because it is in retrograde, sun in conjunction to Mercury can be great for a lot of ego downloads and for you to get some mental breakthroughs or some things that you need to fix and address. But This can also be a little triggering while Mercury's in retrograde. It can make it that so, there's certain things from your past that are specifically highlighted during this lunar eclipse. You could feel very emotionally triggered as well, and pushed into accepting some truths that you might have not wanted to accept before. I'm just saying. The sun will also be in a square with Saturn. Okay, Sun square Saturn, there's definitely some karma that's happening during this time. Sun square Saturn is the time of very, very deep karmic grounding on an ego level. Like what happens now, because the square is when the planets are fighting, when your ego is like popping off with the planet of karma and time, you might be definitely seeing how some of your investments have not paid off, or how you kind of have some sort of conclusion, or the way that you feel about certain things might become more clear during this time. You might also be pushed into looking at how much time you've been wasting or spending, and how you've been doing so during this time as well. There's definitely a focus on how you feel about yourself, because the sun is very much your ego and your inner child. So this could be a moment for you to strengthen your relationship with yourself. So having your self-care practice during this time is a very good idea. The sun will also be in a trine with Pluto. So there's a very huge ego transformation that's happening. We are called to change, to evolve, and to do things a little bit different, a little bit wiser. Okay, there's definitely a lot going on an ego level. This can make us, a little bit emotionally manipulative. It can make us a little bit, stubborn as well, but it's pushing through the stubbornness, because you guys have to understand, like, the sun is in Taurus, is in an earth sign, Pluto's in an earth sign, and is in retrograde. There's certain past life issues that are going to come up during this time that will need to be addressed. So make sure that you are making space for past life work. If you haven't, you know, dived into past life work and soul healing yet, you know, it's a great time to mention that I have my classes set up to teach the Akashic Records, to read your past lives. I keep forgetting to mention them, but there's 2 new dates, so make sure I'll have them linked down below. It's on my website as well under the Work With Me tab. But if you want to learn how to read the Akashic Records, you can, you know, sign up for that class. It's a 5-hour intensive. It's really, really powerful. Or if you just need a past life reading, my services are available as well. But there's definitely a focus on certain things that are rising up to the surface on an ego level that could be being mirrored from a past life or from your younger self, things that have been ingrained in your psyche, issues that have been ingrained in your psyche could be coming up. That includes generational trauma healing. So be very gentle with yourself, because this is a lunar eclipse in Scorpio, y'all. Out of all the signs, it's Scorpio, okay? So it's gonna be very transformative. It's gonna be emotionally triggering. It's gonna be a lot. So you need to make sure that you're okay. The moon will be in an opposition to Mercury during this time. And moon opposition to Mercury can be a little bit... It can be a little bit frustrating because there's definitely a lot that the intuition is saying. And there's also a lot that your consciousness will be saying. And you're going to have to sort out what you want to do, because there are certain things that you're going to be receiving intuitively, like you're going to get a lot of intuitive information. And there are certain things there's certain downloads and certain breakthroughs that you're going to have mentally, and you're going to have to decide how to navigate based on the information that you have, which could be like differing, or could, you know, you might have to discern what you want to do. You might have a couple of options and you might have to figure out what you want to do. But it can lead to some emotional issues, including not being able to mentally process your emotions as well. With the moon in opposition to Mercury, it could be a little bit frustrating, especially because Mercury is in retrograde. You could be doing a lot of emotional trauma healing on a personal level, or again, on an ancestral level, or on a soul level. Like, it might just be past life work that you're doing, but it ranges. It really ranges on, you know, your own source journey and what you've been doing generally this whole time. So be very gentle with yourself. This is why I said earlier, your self-care practice, essential. We also have the moon in trine with Mars, the moon also in trine with Jupiter. So for those who are going to be using this for some manifestations, make sure that at least the other aspects are not impacting you. Like, if you've been doing the work, if you have been doing the soul work, if you have been working on some of your issues, if you've been in therapy, if you're literally trying to work through a lot of your issues, then if you wanted to work with this eclipse in a spiritual way, this would be, you know, one of the ways to work with it. Moon trine Mars is definitely, if you're trying to figure out the best direction on how to, you know, create action, like what it is that you want to do, you're gonna have to listen to your intuition. Your mind might be a little bit, you know, again, Mercury's in retrograde. You're gonna have to listen to your intuition over your mind. You're gonna have to choose that, and that includes, like, if you pull cards, if you do a reading, if you do some sort of like divination on this day, do not forget that Scorpio is a water sign, so it's a great time to do water related elemental spell work if you are going to use it spiritually. Divination is something that you could literally tailor your whole ritual about. Work or do or create your ritual using divination. So intuitively pick the herbs that you're working with. Intuitively pick the herbs that you're going to use for your spiritual bath or for your candle or for whatever it is that you're using. Make sure that you are kind of gravitating to whatever it is you're doing naturally and not forcing it, or else it's not going to feel right. Just trust your intuition. Trust your intuition there. But the moon in trine with Jupiter This is great for working through and bringing balance and kind of correcting things, because Jupiter is the planet of abundance, luck, expansion, knowledge, okay, education. So this is a great time for you to intuitively work through the knowledge that you're getting intuitively, the knowledge you're feeling through as far as what to do about certain things in order to correct certain things, okay? This is a great time to focus on, like, with this specific aspect, it's great for like legal cases, legal matters, and if you wanted to see some transformation, you know, in some legalities or something like that. I know there's a lot going on with legalities right now. Woof. And also, you know, aside from Roe versus Wade, because that's a whole thing, but in addition to the Johnny Depp's case that, you know, everybody has been watching, this is a great time to do any type of like karmic justice type of law, spell work as well. But it's also a great time to, again, do some deep soul work, bring balance to your soul, and try to work with the energy of karma within your practice as well. The next one, the moon will be in a square with Saturn. So emotionally, again, we're not necessarily in alignment with Saturn right now. We're not necessarily feeling like, like Moon square Saturn can be very emotionally frustrating, because there's definitely a lot happening with, there's definitely some emotional restrictions happening. There's definitely some people who are going to use this lunar eclipse to try to manifest outside of their restriction, which could work. But with Saturn sitting there, Saturn always wants you to act before you can receive. In order for you to receive, you need to put in the work. And so emotionally, it's not just enough for you to feel something or feel like you want something. You need to put in the work for it as well. So what's your plan? It's what Saturn is going to ask you. What is your plan? Because if all you're doing is vibing it out, feeling it out, it's not going to fully work. You need your dreams need a very, very much a practical plan. And you're going to need to navigate how you're feeling about what plans you are creating as well, because moon square Saturn can make it a little bit, you know, unstable emotionally, as far as how to bring the idea and ground it, which is why, again, eclipses can be really messy, and you should probably not be doing spell work, or you should probably just be keeping it hella simple, to be honest. But hey, to each their own. The moon will also be in a trine with Neptune. This is really, really, really great for a lot of spiritual work, spiritual healing, working with the water element. And what I really would recommend for this specific eclipse is taking a spiritual bath, spending time with water, okay? Because Neptune, you know, it's the ocean. So you want to connect with water. You want to connect with the water element. You want to do divination. I would keep things very, very much within the water element as far as doing spiritual work. And I wouldn't even light a candle during this lunar eclipse. I would just keep it very much within the water element. But just don't it's a great time to be creative. And also, if you need a mental breakthrough, or you need some sort of creative idea, or you need a new download or a new direction, it's a great time to divine for those things. But it's not a great time to be, you know, doing other types of spell work. Mercury will also be in a trine with Pluto. I will remind y'all, both of these planets in retrograde, okay? So Mercury and trine with Pluto, there's definitely a lot of mental downloads, mental breakthroughs coming through, but there's also things that are getting mirrored from the past, again, and this includes past lives. There's definitely going to be some clarity that's coming through about certain things, and if you are focusing your whole entire, you know, lunar eclipse ritual on just divination, you will get a lot of clarity. And I would be very creative with the questions that you're asking as far as what it is that you want to know, because there's definitely a lot that needs to be known. Pluto is very much the truth, and Mercury is consciousness. So it's about bringing the truth into your consciousness. It's about bringing, like, allowing the truth to transform you by bringing it into the light. This is why I cannot stress this enough. Past life work is essential for this eclipse. Cannot stress it enough. Mars will be in conjunction to Neptune, and Jupiter will also be in conjunction to Neptune. Mars in conjunction to Neptune definitely lends a hand to like the work that needs to be done in relation to the element of water specifically, okay? Because there is a need, because they're both in Pisces, there is a need to work things, work through things spiritually, work through things creatively, express yourself. This is also a great time to do some substances if you wanted to do some mushrooms or something. That's all I'm gonna say. If you wanted to do some, you know, spiritual kind of specific divination or journey in that kind of way, or even just like, you know, you can do that. That's what I would recommend, to be honest, as far as using it in a divination, not using it in the context of just chilling, using it as like the plant medicine that it is, okay? You can actually get a lot of breakthroughs that way as well, especially because Jupiter is also in conjunction to Neptune, which speaks to education through the subconscious, education through a spiritual journey, which is really, really, really beautiful, I might add. Now, when it comes to the cards, okay, we have You Are Good Enough and Nothing Is Yet Set in Stone, because there is a lot of mutable energy with the Pisces energy that is in the chart. Keep that in mind. Even though Jupiter just went into Aries, there's still a good amount of Pisces there, and then so there's still, you know, and the Mercury and Gemini mutable energy in retrograde, there's still a lot of wish-washiness going on that is definitely, you know, pushing you to be a little bit more definitive as far as what needs to be, what direction you're taking with certain things. But again, you need to make sure that you have a really good self-care routine, because if you don't, y'all, you need to have a good self-care routine. This eclipse is going to be a little triggering. It just is. It's just going to be a little triggering. The cards. We have the Eight of Wands, the Queen of Swords, the Four of Wands. You see how this lasts of Wands? That's that Jupiter, right? That Jupiter and Aries. Then we have the Ace of Wands, and our outcome is the Two of Pentacles. You see that balance? You see that bringing things into balance that I keep telling y'all about? I don't talk just to talk, y'all. I'm telling you. This specific lunar eclipse is about going through a very deep transformation fairly quickly, I shall add. There's certain breakthroughs mentally that are going to be happening fairly quickly, that are meant to steer us in a different direction, and are meant to be setting us in the next journey that we're taking as well. But it's meant to bring us into balance. I cannot stress that enough. It's meant to bring us into balance. Bottom of the deck, the King of Cups, the Ten of Swords, and the Wheel of Fortune. So when I'm telling you, this shift that's happening, this lunar eclipse is going to be emotionally triggering, because it is a death and transformation, so that we can move into the next thing correctly. I cannot stress that enough. We also have air and divinity, because again, we are working with the air element. There's a lot happening with Mercury being in retrograde. There's a lot of things that are going to be triggered with Mercury being in retrograde, so just keep that in mind. And I also pulled two cards from the Isis Oracle, the first one being the Portal of Light, which says it is only the physical reality that is bound by time and space. You are conscious being on all levels beyond the physical world. You are guided to work with your healing powers beyond the confines of time and space. You will not become ungrounded through such spiritual work. You are not leaving your earthly connection behind. You are merely adding to it. This is specifically highlighting the past life work that I keep telling y'all need to be doing. And the next one, the Eye of Horus. The Eye of Horus brings divine perception, protection, and insight. I did say that right. You are gifted with certain spiritual abilities, including divine sight, that are awakening and growing now. You have much divine support and protection so that you may grow your abilities and serve others with your divine gifts. Trust at your perception and know that you are divinely protected. Make sure that you are doing some protection work, because this eclipse is definitely going to be a little bit triggering. But there's a lot of insight. Again, one of the things I focused on was divination, and looking and having in your perception of what you should be doing, and your intuition and how it's communicating to you and the breakthroughs that you are having. So make sure that, you know, you do the work as always. Anyway, I hope that y'all got all of the messages that y'all needed. I hope that y'all have a blessed day. I will see y'all in the next video. Definitely don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to check out the Patreon down below. I will see y'all. Have a blessed day.